Morning, my fellow family, friends, and colleagues. This is your girl, Dr. Charity, aka the Queen of Divas, and I'm here to give you your weekly encouragement on today. Well, on this beautiful, gorgeous, last fall like, been a false fall during the past couple of days, but feeling good. A little break from that humidity, and which is always good. Anytime there's a break from the heat and the humidity, that's nothing but a blessing from God. But this beautiful, gorgeous, awesome, blessed Sunday morning, I want to reach out and encourage everybody who is listening in, tuning in on today, that I pray and I believe, hope, and wish that everybody tuning in and listening today is still tapping into it. It is never too late, even if you have not been tapping into it. I've always been telling you for the past couple of weeks, the time is now. The time is now. It is not later. For that which you deserve and desire, you are not waiting on. It is waiting on you. You have what it takes to obtain and gain, but you've got to do your part to show that you're ready to sustain and maintain. So, I hope everybody is tapping into it. For the time is now. Your time is running out. Do not miss out, because that which you desire and deserve is not down over here and around the corner. It's right in front of you. It's right within your sight. Go for it. Do not wait, for your time is now. Do not wait, for that may wind up being too late. The time is now. Move now. That's all I'm saying. Tap into it now. Tap into it now. Just because you can't touch it, don't mean it ain't there. Don't, just because you see it in sight, say it's just my imagination. You ain't no temptation. It is not just your imagination. You see what you see. Just because you don't see the full rainbow, just because you don't see all 8 colors don't mean a rainbow ain't over there. Sometimes it's just the beginning of the rainbow. The rainbow don't always show in full formation and immediately when you see it. That's what we're going to be talking about today. The promise. And what happens before you get to the promise. Too many times as human beings, we're looking for the promise to immediately show up. So when we see a portion or a partial part of that promise, we get dismayed and say, so it's not real. Okay, well, whatever, it's never going to happen. It was happening until your fear kicked in. You just spoke negativity. You just spoke fear instead of faith, and now you're running your own promise away. By pulling down that negativity is pulling down your motivation and what you're supposed to be doing to help bring this promise out in full bloom and full blossom. But because of your negativity and your lack of faith, you ain't got no promise. You're right now. It ain't no promise. It was a promise, a partial promise until you spoke negative. But on today, that's why I'm here. This is what this weekly encouragement is about. So I need you to just lend me your ear just for a few minutes. I am reaching out and giving an empowerment, a motivational empowerment, another motivational empowerment. If anybody today is listening, anybody out there feel like I'm going through that phase in my life and I've seen signs, I know what I've been spoken to or what I'm supposed to get, I know what I deserve and I know what I desire, but it just seems like it doesn't make sense. I don't see nothing. I've been trying and I've tried to believe, but it just looks like nothing is adding up. Anybody feel like that today? Anybody feel like today that I've been in this dark phase, and I don't understand why I'm suffering so much if so much greater waits on the other side? Anybody feel like that today? And if anybody feel like what I was talking about last week of being down to that last point, the last drop of everything, and it just seemed like, oh my God, like, I don't see no promise. I was told, but you know what? I'm starting to believe that this ain't even it. Anybody feel like that? Because if that is you today, I'm talking to you. I want to tell you where you're at. I'm going to talk and put a little emphasis on where you at, what's going on. The stage and the portion I already told you it's the valley stage. But I want to dive a little bit deeper and give you a little bit more insight into what's happening in this stage of the valley, in the wilderness season. I want to give you a little insight, a little encouragement, a little booster, a little motivational booster to make you say, you know what? It might be bad and I might be suffering, but you know what? I'm going to make it. You know what? You know what? I did see a little part. I did see a little part of that rainbow. And in the beginning, I didn't think that it was meant anything. But you know what? Now that you done spoke, that rainbow means something. That rest of that rainbow coming. And I'm going to go and get that. I'm going to go and get the rest of that promise. That if that's where you want to be, lend me your ear for just a few moments while I give you this booster. So if this weekly encouragement had any title, it would be Transition is Manifesting. No need to fear. Let that resonate. I'm going to repeat it for you again. Transition is manifesting. No need to fear. Well, somebody might be listening out there today and saying, well, Dr. Charity, what transition? No need to fear what? Transition manifesting where? Ain't nothing manifesting in my life. It's been so dark and dreary. Ain't nothing happening. Heck, I'm surprised the sun's even coming out. We all felt like that at one point in time. Where you almost get to the point where it's just like, I'm better being off where I was than where I'm going. Like, because it feels like I'm going nowhere. I got to lose everything to gain everything. That's the stupidest thing. Now I ain't got nothing to... I had more when I was living the easy life. Now when I'm trying to gain more, it doesn't seem like I got to lose everything. But that's the purpose of transition. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let me hop in. I'm glad you asked. Let me go and talk a little bit about that right now. In life, most of the time after we have been made a promise, regardless if it was 5 days ago or 5 years ago, a lot of times the transition happens and follows shortly after the promise has been given. There is no promise given and then promise appears 2 days later. That's not how it works. There's two things that I want to inform you about when it comes to God and the Spirit. God always moves unexpectedly, and he always moves in the most uncomfortable areas. What does that mean? That means God don't never bring the promise the way you would expect it to come. So the way he moves, there's no explanation to it. Secondly, he always makes sure that you are in the worst state that you believe you could be in, because your worst state is the best state for him to move. Let that resonate for a minute. I'm going to tell you that again so you can get that in your head. Your worst state, your idea of your worst state is God's best state to bring forth your promise. Because he knows that he's going to get more out of you than would be if you were comfortable. That's why he usually allows you to feel the fire. Because most of the time, can't nobody sit on fire. After a while, you're gonna be your buns gonna be warming up and you're gonna be jumping around. You're gonna be doing stuff that if you were comfortable, you wouldn't even want to move. That's what's going on. So today I want to encourage you that this valley stage, this wilderness season that you're going through, that you feel like everything is just falling apart and falling and shattering, this has nothing to do with you being bad. It's the transition. It's the transformation stage of your promise coming to pass. Your promise is nigh, as I told you last week. Your transitioning is you being changed. This dark stage is you shedding the old, shedding the comfortable stuff, so you can receive all that is new for you, which is that promise. Whatever it was that you feel like you desire and deserve, it is waiting on you. You just have to get rid of the old to make room for the new. You got to get rid of an old boyfriend to accept the new husband. You got to move out of an old house to accept the new house. You get where I'm going? So, this dark stage is not because you did something bad, not because God has forgotten you, not because the promise is not real. It's because there's something greater, as I've been telling you every week on the other side. And there's no room for it. You got to make great room for it because it's going to be big. The promise is big. So you've got to make room for it. And that's why things are uncomfortable right now. If I give a personal testimony, it is just like a butterfly. The caterpillar has to shed the earthly skin and separate itself and go into a chrysalis, go into hiding, go into it by itself, away from family and friends for a certain amount of time to gain the beautiful wings of a butterfly. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And they've got to be able to survive not only the development of being that caterpillar, you got to survive the process of shedding the life and an old skin of the caterpillar and morphing and transforming into that butterfly. So you got to trust the process. As I told you a couple of months ago, trust the process. So on today, I am telling you that this stage is nothing but transition. It's your transition stage. And anytime the fire gets unbearable and it gets hotter and uncomfortable, that usually means that promise is so close. The hotter it gets, the closer it gets. Keep that in mind. The hotter it gets, the unbearable it gets, the closer your promise is. So no, there's no need to fear. You have nothing to fear but fear itself. I love the way Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts spoke it. She said, if you can't speak no faith, sometimes you can't. Just learn to shut up. Don't sit down and beat down the promise because of what it looks like. Don't let fear come out. Don't speak fear into the promise. If you can't speak the faith into the promise, just shut up and let God move. Pray, help my unbelief, and let God move. Don't bring the negativity in. Because I told you, that's what causes the promise to delay and not even come your way. Because of the lack of motivation from you. But as long as you don't say nothing negative, the motivation comes through. So, today, I'm encouraging you to know that this transition is only manifesting because the promise is near. So you have nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. It is yours. Know today, beginning on today, that it's yours. The promise is yours. Take it and tap into it today. Because the transition is nothing but proof that the promise may not fully be visible, but it is here and now. Reach out and grab it. Go for it. Press through it just a little bit more. Press through it just a little bit more. And you're going to see more of the beautiful rainbow colors bursting out. For you know it's going to be a full arch with 8 colors. And you're going to be like, it was there the whole time. Yeah, it was there the whole time as long as you pushed through and believed. And that's what you got to do. Because as long as you push through and believe, you will achieve. The promise is yours. And the transition is manifested. You have nothing to fear. Do not fear, for your promise is here. Well, that's all that I have for you on today, but tune in next week for another weekly encouragement. Subscribe to Lady Superwoman at Lady Superwoman 9999 on YouTube for all of your weekly encouragements. And remember, I love and appreciate each and every last one of you. And remember that this season right here is nothing but transition and proof that your promise is here. You have nothing to fear. Don't let anything hold you back from your promise because it's here right now. I love you. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.